Once, in a forgotten valley, where the sun struggled to break through a permanent canopy of thick grey smoke, lay the mining town of Oakhaven. Here the air always tasted of bitter coal, and the streets were paved with crushed rock and broken dreams. In this town lived a boy named Leo. Leo was poor, not just poor in wealth, but poor in circumstance. He wore clothes so stained with soot that the original color of the fabric was a mystery. His boots were held together by fraying twine, and his hands were permanently scarred from digging through scraps. His father was a miner, a man whose back was bent like a broken bow from spending 14 hours a day underground, swinging a pickaxe just to afford a single loaf of hard bread. But Leo was different. While the other boys in the village dreamed of nothing but surviving another day, Leo looked at the world as a giant machine. He loved gears, levers, and how things fit together. He dreamed of building engines that would change the world, engines that would lift his father out of the dark. But in a town built on survival, dreams are considered dangerous. Whenever Leo would take a stick and draw complex blueprints of machines in the dusty ground, the other miners would stop and laugh. "Look at the little professor," they would mock, their voices echoing in the narrow streets. One of the older boys walked over and purposefully kicked a heavy boot full of dirt right onto Leo's drawing, erasing hours of careful thought. "You're a miner's son, Leo. Your future is underground in the dark, just like your father. Stop looking at the sky. The sky isn't meant for people like us." The words felt like stones thrown at his chest. Leo didn't cry in front of them, but the weight of their mockery crushed his spirit. He began to believe them. He looked down at his dirty hands and his torn shoes. How can a boy who has nothing build something that changes the world? One evening, feeling utterly defeated, Leo sat by the abandoned railway tracks on the edge of town, letting the tears cut clean lines through the soot on his cheeks. He was ready to give up. He was ready to accept the dark. "Why the heavy tears, boy?" a gentle voice asked. Leo looked up to see an old man with a long white beard wearing a patched brown vest. It was Elias, a retired watchmaker who lived alone on the hill. "Because I want to build engines," Leo sobbed, his voice cracking. "But I am too poor. Everyone says I am just dirt. They say I belong in the mines." Elias sat down slowly next to him. He didn't offer empty pity. Instead, he reached deep into his coat pocket and pulled out a heavy pocket watch. He placed it in Leo's hands. The watch was disgusting. It was covered in thick, sticky grease, mud, and coal dust. "What is this?" Leo asked, wiping his nose. "It's just a piece of dirty junk." Elias smiled softly. He took a clean cloth from his pocket and gently began to wipe the face of the watch. As the thick layer of grime peeled away, Leo gasped. Underneath the mud was a face of pure, shining, flawless gold. It ticked with perfect, beautiful precision. Elias leaned in, his eyes locking onto Leo's. "The world will only look at your dirt, Leo," the old man whispered. "They will judge the soot on your clothes and call you junk. They will try to cover you in mud because it makes them feel better about their own dirty hands. But you must never forget the gold ticking inside your mind. Keep your glass clean." Leo walked home that night with a fire in his chest that the cold wind could not put out. He made a silent promise to himself. He would never let them cover his glass with dirt again. From that day on, Leo's life changed. While the other boys played in the mud or slept in the afternoon sun, Leo worked. By day, he swept the floors of the local iron factory, enduring the brutal heat for mere pennies. By evening, he scavenged the dangerous scrapyards, cutting his hands on rusted metal to find broken gears, discarded pistons, and bent copper wire. And by night, while the entire village of Oakhaven slept, Leo was awake. Under the faint flickering light of a single dying candle, he sat on the cold floor of his wooden shack. He taught himself mathematics and engineering from torn, discarded books he had rescued from the town trash. It was agonizing. He sacrificed his sleep. His stomach constantly ached with hunger, and he suffered through freezing winters, wrapping himself in old newspapers because he couldn't afford a coat. Sometimes he felt so tired he wanted to close his eyes and never open them. But every time he wanted to quit, he thought of his father coughing in the dark mines. He thought of the golden watch. He kept cleaning his glass. Leo walked home that night with a fire in his chest that the cold wind could not put out. He made a silent promise to himself. He would never let them cover his glass with dirt again. Years passed. The boy turned into a young man. The quiet, relentless work in the dark finally began to show in the light. Leo started small. He began by fixing broken lamps and shattered tools for the miners. He saved every single copper coin with terrifying discipline, eventually buying a tiny rusted shed at the edge of the village. He turned it into a small engine repair store. He worked day and night. He treated every broken machine like a puzzle, and every customer with profound respect. He reinvested every penny. With time, the small stall became a proper workshop. The workshop became a factory, and the factory became an empire. With his brilliant mind and unwavering discipline, Leo designed a new type of automated engine that made the dangerous coal mines obsolete. He brought safe, clean energy to the valley. The boy who used to draw in the dirt was now the owner of the largest machinery company in the country. And the very people who once kicked dirt on his drawings were now happily employed in his clean, safe, brightly lit factories. And his father never had to step foot in the dark ever again. One crisp spring morning, the doors to Leo's grand, beautiful office opened. In walked Elias, leaning heavily on a wooden cane. Leo, now a handsome man in a sharp-tailored suit, immediately stood up. He walked past his massive oak desk and wrapped his arms around the old watchmaker. Elias pulled back and looked out the massive glass window of the office. He saw the sprawling, clean factories, the green trees returning to the valley, and the smiling workers. Elias turned back to Leo, his old eyes shining with tears. "You see, Leo," the old man said, "the world tells the poor to accept the dirt, but those who remember their gold, they rewrite the world." Dear friend, if you felt a spark of hope in this story today, do not let the world throw dirt on it. Protect your vision. Share this story with someone who needs courage. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and remember, your next chapter of greatness begins the moment you realize your true worth. Start cleaning your glass today.